Boxing King Media, and we're here for episode 1 of The Uncomfortable Truth. Most people will be wondering what on earth is he on about, but we talked about it for a while, Johnny, and these chats are getting quite popular, so we had to name it, we had to brand it, and the best name I could come up with was The Uncomfortable Truth, because you say a lot of things that people may find uncomfortable.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you can always remember the truth. You can never remember a lie. And if my facts may be a little bit off, my facts might be off, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna tell you how it is. And sometimes I'm quite sure the people that are uncomfortable with it actually agree in private, but in public they wouldn't say that. So I think it's very fitting. I like that. You throw it at me, if I can answer it, I will do. Say how it is. I've got no allegiance to anybody, and I think that's what people respect.
I can imagine people will be saying, "Why did you name it the Company Man Podcast? Why are we not calling it the Company Man Podcast?"
I actually had a T-shirt made up, the Company Man, just to wind a few people up. But I actually like that. It's like, but you're always gonna have people, being smart mouths, complaining about something. It was like the Jr Benn Eubank fight. All I was getting is Nelson never gets them right. I'm like, that's not true. But then those people are silent after the result, and they'll probably forget when the next prediction. But that's just how it is. Not my problem.
Yeah. Well, the other suggestion was straight out the horse's mouth, no pun intended.
It wasn't mouth though. It wasn't the horse's mouth. But yeah, I thought the headline might upset a few people.
So we're delighted to have a sponsor for this first episode. It is a company called Exclusive Kitchens and Media Walls. They're based in Sheffield, and we've partnered up with them for this first podcast. Basically, you'll be seeing it on the screen right now. They're the best in the business when it comes to making media walls. 10% off is what they're going to sort out for our customers. So I'm going to leave the telephone number on the screen, and if you fancy having a media wall for Christmas, want to treat yourself, just call them up and mention that you saw the ad on Boxing King Media. They're based in Sheffield, but they will travel nationally, and the best thing is they do everything in-house. So whether it's plastering, electrics, whatever, they will set up everything for you themselves. And Johnny Nelson is about to get something done soon.
Yeah. Well, this is a walking advert, so they've got a chance to show off their prowess right behind me. So watch this space.
Yeah, definitely. Johnny's got to get a fancy new media wall, hopefully at some point. So the first thing I think I think it's kind of old news now because so many things have happened in the last 3 days. But I just want to brush on quickly a couple of the things regarding Eubank Jr Benn. I think everyone I spoke to, you're the only person that got that fight right down to a T. You said Eubank's going to be getting worse, Conor's going to get slightly better, and that kind of pendulum is going to swing in Conor's way, and that's pretty much what happened. But obviously the big debate is, was it that, or was Chris Eubank Jr basically done as a fighter before he even stepped in the ring?
No, because it's like an overnight thing. Why were people not saying that after his last fight is against Conor? Was there any sign of that? People just seem to ignore what was in front of their very own eyes. They ignored the facts that were given to them. They ignored the father. And regardless of how you mock Chris Senior, people don't like the truth. They don't like the straight talking, so they try and undermine the source. So when Chris Senior is talking about the weight issue and this is dangerous and this is going to affect my son in fights to come, he was bang on right. But because of his delivery, because everybody wanted the fight so much, they tried to dismiss him. Now, what was kind of telling and probably a little bit questionable was at the post-fight press conference, Chris was there by himself. Now, Chris...
let me correct you on that, because I saw some people say that, but his dad was in the press conference room. Chris wanted to go on the stage himself. I was actually stood next to his dad in the audience watching the presser. His dad stood there and watched it all.
And I like that, because I didn't see him on stage. I'm like, Chris Senior, man, where are you? Stand there, even if you just stood behind your boy. And it must have been hard, because I think the Eubanks are a very proud family. I think Chris, regardless of what has been going on the last few months or so, he mentioned it, but he didn't mention what it was. But at the end of the day, it was down to performance. And what was going on in your head, I get it. But physically, what you saw a man that was like, he was stuck in quicksand. He was just that little bit not as sharp. So the fight before, You know, even though he left it all in the ring, that's all he had left. This is the point I was trying to make. So if this guy gave it his all and spent 3 days in the hospital, and the man he was in with had a lot more left, thinking, I could have done a lot better. It's obvious, it's in your face. And when you're saying these things, people are just getting lost in nostalgia, thinking, no, he's bigger, he's this, that, and the other. Look at the facts. Time catches up on all of us. For Chris, is it the end of the road for him? I don't know. I don't think so, but it depends on what level he wants to be in this game at. Because Chris makes it quite clear he has no respect or regard for the promoters or the boxing board of control. So the things he says and the things he does, he's going to do it his way. And that's just how it is. So when he's, again, putting the videos on of him in the sweatsuit, there was an issue the last time he did that. The stuff he said about the boxing board of control and Robert Smith, you know, he didn't care about the retribution. The stuff he said about Eddie Hearn and everybody stopping the ambulance and stuff like that, he didn't care. He just spoke his truth, how he saw it. So I actually don't think, as far as he was concerned, he was lying. That's just how he saw it. In my opinion, I think he got that wrong. I think the guy that got it right was his dad. And only time tells its own story. So the fight went the way it went, and I think Conor improved from the last fight. I think Chris deteriorated from the last fight, and that's because the first fight told us what the next story was going to be, what the next page was going to be. And so it's a case of everybody giving Chris a hard time. No, he's X, Y, Z, he was slow, he's whatever. Of course he was, because you saw the last fight. It's obvious in your face. So I give it to Conor. I give it to Conor because timing was perfect for him. And for Chris, unfortunately, time catches up on all of us at one point.
What about the again? Like I said, what you said, pretty fair. But there's been a big surge of people basically talking about the skill set in this fight. Obviously, your old friend Dominic Ingle said it. Dave Allen went in hard. He basically said that's how I see it. Basically saying he was too. He didn't use the word mediocre, but basically suggesting two mediocre fighters with low skill levels fighting each other, and it wasn't a great fight to watch. Obviously, that's how Dom pretty much saw it as well.
Yeah, but so what? You got two guys that had. It wasn't just about the fight.
The question was, is that a fair comment as well?
Yeah, it's a fair comment, but it's how you put it. Yeah, two guys that were certain. They weren't world champions. Yeah, two guys. Chris has been around. He's never gotten a legitimate world title yet. He's fought fighters that were former world champions and beat them at the right time in their career. He's not established himself officially as a world champion. You had Conor coming through. He's not proved himself. He had 13, 14 months out. His career was on stop. So the level they're at, the attention, the excitement they created, you know what? You've got to commend them. These guys weren't world-class fighters. They weren't world champions, but they still managed to get a country behind them watching this fight. The numbers were mad in the first fight. So regardless of the standard, it was the story that you've got to attach yourself to. So saying the obvious, this isn't world class. Okay, it wasn't, but we love the story. We love the narrative, and that's why people were behind it. You love the egg in their head. You love the rivalry between the two families. That's what it was about. The standard is a different story. I understand the standard's there. The standard wasn't there. The second fight, of course, that was the case because once bitten, twice shy. They both left it in the ring and they gave hellfire. But those fights scar you. Those fights make you think, I've got to be smarter here. You know, I've got time to outthink, you think better in this one here. I know Conor was saying he's not going to be emotionally invested as much. He had to be emotionally invested to fight the way he did. It's in the Benn gene. He has to be like that. For Chris, he was too busy being cool. And I think he controlled every aspect of the fight up until the first bell. And that short mouse, unbelievable intelligence, pause, patience, everything worked perfectly for him. Unfortunately, the one thing you can't control is time, and Chris, time had caught up on him, and this was it. He paid the price in the first fight. So so again, it's 1-1. Will that ever be amended? Maybe in 20 years when Chris's twins grow older and Conor has some more kids, it could happen again in 20 years' time, which will be an amazing story.
With regards to Conor, obviously, great performance by me. Obviously, showed a different tactic, and I spoke to Tony Sims, and their plan was to go to the body early and use the jab a lot more and kind of attack in spurts. Obviously, that's kind of been blown over a little bit because of obviously Chris's performance. But from what you saw from Conor Benn, can you see him challenging the names that Eddie Hearn's dropped now? Ryan Garcia, Rolly
Yes, I
Romero.
do.
Can he beat any of these guys? Devin Haney.
Beating him, I think he has the ability to do it. He has the guts, he has the cojones, he has the energy, he has the youth, everything behind him. He has the experience. So now it's his chance to get in there. Just because he's from here, just because it's Conor Benn and we're familiar with him, it's hard for people to give him credit. I'm thinking, really? Can he? Until he's actually done it. Yes, I do think he has the ability to do it. I think styles might make fights. I think Conor, at one point in his career, I thought he was one of the fast improving fighters in this country. For the past 3 or 4 years, unfortunately, time has stood still for him, so his development slowed down. But what he did was he showed development from 7 months ago to now to say, look how quick I can improve, look how quick I can learn. I've learned a lesson from the last fight, I've fixed this one. So I think you've got to go through experiences to get wisdom. So I do believe he can. If he does, that's another question. But I don't think, son, you don't want to get in there because they'll twist you up. I don't think that at all. I do believe he has the ability to do it.
Definitely so. And on the undercard, somebody obviously you've seen the whole journey from day one. Just a quick mention on Adam Azim, what you thought of his performance, and I think he's got some eyes in the US as well from it. Got some credits from the people in the US.
Yeah, I think Adam put on a performance, boxing ability, stamina, discipline, then getting the stoppage. Was about 30 seconds left in the last round? Yeah, a minute and a bit from the last round. So this shows this boy is now becoming a fully fledged, accomplished, experienced fighter. You know, you're thinking, is he ready yet? Is he ready yet? Now he's ready because he showed everything you'd expected: boxing ability, patience, stamina. He had the ability to listen and then close the show. He wasn't in there with some little pushover, because even before the fight, the whispers were this is a tough one for him, a big ask, and he got the job done. At no point did I think, he's in trouble. I thought he was in control, but not complete control until the last bell.
And then the other big news that we saw in the last 24 hours, it was rumoured about for a good week now. Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul is happening. And for the facts are, it's a professional bout. It's 8 rounds, 10-ounce gloves. I saw a quote from David A saying it'll be Jake's last day on earth. And then the other question is, why is Jake Paul doing it? Why is he paying Anthony Joshua millions of pounds to knock him out? Make it make sense, Johnny.
Okay, so I've constantly said this fight won't happen. I've constantly said Jake Paul is a master of publicity. I'm going to fight him, I'm going to fight him. He was talking Canelo, he was talking everybody, but you've got Canelo's name in the same sentence as Jake Paul. So I was constantly saying, this ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. So even with this one, until the day Eddie announced it, I thought, this ain't going to happen. I'm still thinking, is somebody going to get sick or something going to happen? I don't know. But then I looked at Jake Paul and I thought, I've got to give you respect, son, because what you've done is, you've got everybody's attention, even the naysayers like me that don't believe it, because you've gone this far and made it official. You're thinking, this is actually going to happen. So then you've got to look at the madness, the method behind the madness. That this young man is going to roll the dice and think, I'm going to get in there with Anthony Joshua. I'm going to beat this former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. I think I can get him. I think there's something about him. This is where his ego's at. You think, I've got this. So in reality, anybody with any common sense thinks this boy's going to get slaughtered. Absolutely slaughtered. But the one thing he has mastered is the business side of our sport. Our sport is one of those sports where, excuse my French, fighters always end up with the shit end of the stick. They end up skinned. They end up with, on the rough end. It's the promoters and the managers that walk away and live happily ever after. Jake Paul, the one thing he could teach every traditional fighter coming through is he's his own business. He's his own promoter. Look what I've done for me. I've not left it to a promoting manager to say, I'll sort it out and I'll get a narrative out there. He's done it himself. He's sending a message to all the young fighters out there. Control your destiny. This is who you are. So promoters need you more than you need them. I rate the business side of it. I rate the point where Jake Paul has now thrown the dice, and in reality, he's going to get a proper arse beating he should do, by AJ. Now, the problem's this. If Anthony Joshua doesn't turn up, even that Anthony Joshua doesn't turn up, should beat Jake Paul. And there's just that 1% that makes you think, could he? Could Anthony Joshua slip up here? Because it's a no-win situation for AJ. If he goes the distance, you struggle with a domestic fighter like Jake Paul. If he gets wobbled or get hurt, how can you let a domestic fighter, a YouTuber, do that like Jake Paul? If he loses, God forbid, That's his farewell. Like, all right, I've got 50 million quid. See you later. Now, you look at it from Anthony Joshua's point of view. When he does good, he still gets criticised. And I'm quite sure he doesn't like the criticism. When he does bad, he still gets criticised. He feels as though he's not appreciated because he started our sport 18 years old and things he's achieved. He's thinking people aren't recognising this. So now he's thinking, why do I care what you lot think? Because I can be the straight-laced blue-collar fighter, and you've got people like Tyson Fury, Dylan, Derek, swearing, effing and blinding, effing and jeffing, doing all these things, and these people are glorified, and I'm just being dead right. So I'm not actually caring what you say anymore. I'm just going to do me. So judge me all you like, but I'm going to go out there, make myself 50 mil, slag me off. I can live with it because that's all I've gotten used to, and I'm going to make some money out of it. Nobody in their right mind, regardless of how we say, hey, Jay, what are you doing, would turn this kind of dough down. They just wouldn't. The great Mike Tyson, at 58 years old, got in there with Jake Paul. And Jake Paul, everybody's saying, oh, Mike shouldn't do that. Oh, he's finishing, he's affecting his legacy. Not really. Mike Tyson was the same age as Jake Paul's dad. Mike Tyson, 30 million plus. Where else is a 58-year-old man going to earn 30 million pounds? Now, the question was with that fight, the rumours were, I've got to be careful, I don't want Jake suing me. The rumours were, and it was a hold-up job, it was XYZ, it was fixed. And Jake takes offence at that. This one with AJ, again, the question is, really? Is he really doing this? I personally think AJ would struggle to play that game, tap. I think he'd struggle with it. I remember the rumours around, I've got to say rumours, allegedly, the rumours around Mayweather and McGregor, and it came up to the build-up, and the rumour was McGregor wasn't allowed to touch Mayweather in the build-up to the fight. When they were doing all the pre-fight build-up, he could shout, but you couldn't actually touch him. When it came to the fight, they could fight, but you couldn't actually touch him because McGregor's really out there when it comes to antics before a fight. So, and there were conditions in. I hope there's no conditions in this. Now, the problem is this. Jake Paul is a cheeky little bugger. And I can see if they do a head-to-head, a press conference, Jake Paul will get in the face of Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's not very good at joking about. He doesn't seem to have that kind of humour. So I want to see how this plays out. Because if I see Anthony Joshua giggling and laughing up there with Jake Paul, I think, fix, stinks. Nah, that's not Anthony Joshua. And I think if Jake Paul takes the piss out of Anthony Joshua, the AJ that I think I've seen won't stand for it. He won't have it. If this is a real fight, if this is a real deal, he won't have it. And AJ's been scarred enough by the mistakes he's done with Daniel Dubois, the mistakes he's done with Andy Ruiz, to suffer the consequences of the backlash of letting these people beat him that shouldn't beat him. So therefore, he has to be at the weight he boxed Usyk at, just be around that weight. So and his last fight, I think, was 18 stone. This fight is going to be about 17 stone 4. He's got to be so that means he's got to be fight fit. He's got to be on it. He's got to train for it. He's got to be there for it. I would be very surprised if AJ starts pissing about on stage on palling up Jake Paul. Jake Paul's got a smart mouth. So Jake Paul's either going to have to manage himself up, and if he doesn't, there's a fix on.
I think that I was just trying to think as he was talking, can Johnny get sued for this? Can Johnny get sued? As you were saying,
well, I'm not saying it.
No, yeah.
This is just my opinion. Yeah. But I'm going on the characters that you both see. AJ's not that guy. Jake Paul, we've seen him snatched out of Floyd Mayweather. We've seen him get in the face. We saw Mike Tyson clip him for standing on his foot. We've seen all that stuff. AJ's not that guy. Because I've seen him when I can't remember it was. He was defending the IBF title. We were down in London at some hotel, and one fighter got in his face. He said, "Yo, don't do that shit me. I'm not that guy." AJ's not that guy. He's not got that sense of humour, or not on TV anyway. So AJ needs to just being him, can put the fear of God into this boy for him to think, oh shit. So then, all of a sudden there's a problem here. This fight's not happening because I've hurt my shoulder. I still think, even though it's big bucks, Netflix and whoever is involved to put it's out there and everybody's talking about it, I still think Jake Paul's going to have a reality check thinking, God, I'm going to get absolutely knocked to Timbuktu. But he's done a great job because he's now got our attention. And so I respect his business brain. I respect it massively.
Yeah, I think he he definitely has got some nuts. I was just thinking to myself, like, because Usyk, it doesn't appear like he's going to fight again. What if he offered the same money to Usyk? Usyk would have fought him. So I'm just trying to think, if you had the option to fight AJ or Usyk, imagine knowing that you fought the undisputed heavyweight champion, because he's still going to be underdog in both fights.
Yeah. So again, why wouldn't he get him with Usyk? You know, I remember a few months ago he was talking about fighting Canelo and blah blah X Y Z. Why wouldn't he do that? Because he says, I want to fight for the heavyweight title of the world. He could have leapfrogged Anthony Joshua and gone in there with Usyk. I think for Jake Paul, I just think this is business. I think Jake Paul, if he really and truly thinks that he's going to be Anthony Joshua, then you know what, good on him. And you've got to have complete arrogance when you're a fighter. When I was world champion, I believed I was the best fighter amongst 8 billion people on this earth. Anthony Joshua, at one point when he was heavyweight champion, had to believe he was the best fighter amongst 8 billion people on this earth. Jake Paul, for some reason, thinks he can beat a guy that was at one point could beat 8 billion people on this earth. So therefore, he's disrespecting AJ. If I was AJ, I'd be pissed off, thinking, you think you can beat me? You? I'd look at Jake Paul and I'd smash the granny out of him because he's disrespecting him to think he could beat him. And I mean, going there with a professional mentality, and he needs to put a hatchet job on him, because Jake Paul is disrespecting him, thinking he can beat him. So all these armchair champions that are talking about AJ's this, AJ's that, it pisses you off because they've never done it. But you've got this kid that's a domestic fighter that's never even boxed at that level. On this biggest stage, he wants to get in the ring with you to fight you. If I was AJ, I'd be pissed. And I would absolutely slaughter him. No, I won't be his mate. Regardless of what's been signed, I won't be his mate. I won't be familiar with him. I want him to say, listen, you've stepped into my world now. If I see anything less than that from AJ, I'm going to smell fix. Now, I'm not saying there is one, because everything I'm hearing, it's a normal 8-round fight or whatever it is. I don't want to see that. I want to see AJ, the same AJ that's got him with Dylan White, the same AJ that's got him with Charles Martin, the same AJ that's got him with Klitschko. I want to see that AJ. Don't be his mate.
Tell me about the dangers of this fight. Because I asked Eddie Hearn the other day, will the British Boxing Board allow this? And I think Gareth A. Davies told me that he spoke to Rob Smith, and Rob Smith said they would never allow that fight in this country. So obviously the British Boxing Board are a lot more strict. It's happening in the state of Florida, which is renowned for making these kind of fights. Obviously Tyson, I think Mike Tyson, Jake Paul happened in Florida as well, didn't it? So what are the dangers of this? So you got somebody who I believe is a cruiserweight, really, not fought anywhere near that level. He's fighting an Olympic gold medalist, 2-time world champion, who's, 2 fights ago, he was on the verge of fighting for all the belts again.
Well, unfortunately, the governing bodies don't do themselves any favours, because at some point you think they've got it right, and then they make ridiculous decisions and, stripping the title off a fighter that's like just defending his title. They seem to be favouring one over the other. So the governing bodies do themselves no favour, and the sanctioning fees are ridiculous. So somebody else is going to get a ton of money out of this. And I'm quite sure if they want to do this over here, they'd find some way around it. Remember, we've just seen Eubank Benn twice, and a lot of safety aspects in regards to the weight making, in regards to the conductor fighters, have just been blindsided, just dismissed. So if it fits, they'll make it fit somehow. If it doesn't fit, they'll make it fit somehow. So now this fight being made in Florida, they could put it anywhere in the world, because there's too much money involved. It's show business, and unfortunately, he said boxing is a business disguised as a sport. Now, this is a sport that is just strictly business in this situation here. So regardless of how disappointed you may be in Anthony Joshua, he's only doing what any other human would do. He'd take this fight and get paid massively. Now, the only way you could satisfy people that are giving him the stick is by blasting this kid out. And it just needs to be another Ngannou. Needs to blast this kid out. Conversation done.
What are the dangers to Jake Paul in that situation?
The dangers to Jake Paul are getting seriously hurt. Getting seriously hurt, because it'd be like in reality, you've got who's top of the league now? Man City playing Accrington Stanley. In reality, they should get absolutely slaughtered. In reality, if there's anything less than that, It's not about Jake Paul, oh my God, he got slaughtered, because you expect him to get slaughtered. It's about AJ. And AJ's in a position where all he's going to do is get criticised. It needs to be a 100% spot on performance. Anything less, and he's going to get absolutely vilified. He's getting it now for choosing this fight. I get why he's done this. I get it. The reason why I never believed this fight would happen is because I thought it's that ridiculous. I thought Jake Paul's not that stupid. This boy's not that much of on a suicide mission to get in there with Anthony Joshua. This boy doesn't look like he can't punch. You know, to get in there with AJ up close and personal. I want to see that first press conference. I want to see what they're like. I want to see what the interaction's like. I want to see when they're doing, if they do a round table. I want to see how they are with each other. I'm not bad at understanding, studying people and body language. I want to see that. If it's fake, if it's a fix, I'll see it. If it's for real, I'll see it. But I want to see that.
That definitely is the uncomfortable truth that you just dropped there, Johnny, and we're going to wrap it up there and just remind people.
Can I just touch on something? I'm really surprised. I know it's old news. Joseph Parker failing the drug test. I'm really surprised. I don't understand if they found traces of cocaine in his system. And I don't know. I've never took the stuff. You know, I know people that have done it, but I don't understand why you would do something like that so close to such a big fight. Because Fabio Wardy now has been elevated to now WBO champion, and Fabio Wardy won't feel like he's a champion until he gets in the ring with somebody else and wins and think, now I'm champion. He's been given it via paper. So that's another story. But Joseph Parker, I just struggle to get my head around an understanding of why, if this is true, he would do such a thing. I don't get it. I don't. It baffles me, because this is such an obvious thing that can happen, and it might not be performance enhancing. I don't know what it is, but I just think, how stupid can you be? If you're going to fail for something that's going to help you win a fight. But why would you do something like that? So we need to get to the bottom of this. And see what the deal is, because I'm struggling to get my head around it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what comes from that. I think obviously you raised a valid point. Obviously, I don't know what the benefits are of cocaine, so I think until Joe releases something, it'd be difficult to comment on it.
Cocaine, I gather, is a leisurely drug, and a lot of people take it. And I'm not going to lie and say I've never seen people take it. I still don't get it, and people are doing it so freely now, as though it's like scratching your head, and there's no uncomfortable or embarrassment about it. And I just don't get it. So when I see that, I'm just like, why would you do that? And another point, Saturday night. After Saturday night's performance at Tottenham, Frank Warren had his fighters on the undercard. I didn't see one Warren there. Now, again, I'm not bad at studying body language, and I hear the whispers. I smell trouble in the house. I smell trouble in the house because I saw Eddie walking in with Turkish all over him. I didn't see one Warren. I didn't see one of them. So maybe I just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I didn't see one Warren. I think there's trouble in the hood. I think there's something going on. So at one point, Eddie was the main man, and then Frank came, and Frank was out, and Eddie was out, Frank was in. Now Frank's out, Eddie's in. Why would not one Warren turn up to something that was on their patch? It was on the biggest stage, and probably the biggest fight at the end of the year. Why? I think there's trouble in the hood. Now, it might come out eventually, it might not, but something's going on. Now, that's just my opinion, so don't try and sue me again. There's something going on. So it will come out eventually, but somebody explain to me, because Frank Warren's not a shy guy. His sons aren't shy boys. Something's going on. So maybe it's a sign of things to come, and Eddie might have nudged himself back into favour again, because it's like musical chairs. But boys, I was watching, and you don't just watch the fight, you watch around ringside, watch who's talking to who, you watch who's trying to sit next to Turkey, be his best mate, you watch who's trying to nudge there and get himself in favour, you watch, and I don't see one of them. And again, this is a clock. And so if I said something what people are thinking, they'll think, hold on a minute, why wasn't he there? Why wasn't any of his sons there? We had fighters on the bill. So They might have been on holiday, or they might have had a family get together, or whatever reason. But there's something amiss.
Lee Eaton was there, ringside.
He's not Warren.
We'll see what happens with that. Interesting observation, but yeah, definitely the uncomfortable truth. Johnny's just dropped. He's gone all out on the first episode. Hopefully, he's got something left next time round. But again, as I said at the start, exclusive kitchens and media walls, specialists in media walls. They work up and down the country, based in Sheffield. They've got a showroom in Sheffield as well. So the contact details are on the screen. There's a 10% Boxing King media discount. We would never work with any brand. If you've seen the brands we worked with, we only work with the best brands and legit brands. So if you want a solid media wall with a good discount, hit them up. Johnny, any last words?
Oh, I like that tracksuit you've got on. If you were a bit taller, I say go on, you've got to have a little workout and I'd steal it. You've got a green Adidas, old green Adidas tracksuit on. It looks bad. So wherever that come from, you hook me up, G. Hook me up. Usually turn up with like some raw T-shirts or something like that. And I thought, I hope he's got one of those in his bag. But you haven't. I'll live.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll let you know what the connect is. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is a media wall we created for our client. The media wall is 6 meters wide, fitted with a 65-inch TV and a 1.9 meter 3-sided electric fire. The brand of this fire is British Fires, and in our opinion is one of the best fires on the market, available in 1.6, 1.9 and 2.4. If you require any more information, please get in contact.